The Sony Xperia Z Ultra is the company's latest high-end smartphone, which isn't really destined to replace the Xperia Z, but rather carve its own path in the smartphone world. With a 6.4-inch display, that's not going to be so hard, as it's one of the biggest smartphones to pay visit to our office. It comes in a standard box listing the phone's main features, which we'll cover in just a second. With the box open, we find some informational leaflets, an AC adapter, and Sony's magnetic dock accessory. Missing are the headphones and standalone USB cable that the Xperia Z Ultra usually ships with, but that's our review sample to blame. What's important is that the Xperia Z Ultra is here in all of its omni-balanced design, flair, and beauty. The sizable Xperia Z Ultra phablet has even improved on the already great-looking Xperia Z and Xperia Tablet Z with a brushed aluminum frame running along its sides to give it stability and tempered glass on the back and front. Sony has managed to make the Xperia Z Ultra stunningly thin at just 6.5mm. The angular sides of the phablet don't translate into a dream handling experience, but for two-handed operation, the slim chassis feels really impressive. It's not too heavy either. 212 grams is certainly a burden you'll feel in your pocket, but it's barely heavier than any of the other contenders with similarly sized displays. The latest Xperia UI version looks absolutely gorgeous on the 6.4-inch 1080p tri-luminous display. The colors are well saturated and the viewing angles are better than any other Sony smartphone. The X-Reality image processor, which is the successor to the Bravia engine, intelligently handles contrast enhancements and noise reduction too. The glass back holds the 8-megapixel camera with Exmor RS sensor. Surprisingly, Sony has opted out of an LED flash unit. Just below the camera is the NFC area. On the right-hand side, there's the 3.5mm headphone jack, and below it sits the very large plastic flap covering the micro SIM and micro SD memory card slots. There's another smaller plastic flap on the top left, which covers the micro USB port. The signature aluminum Sony power lock button is placed on the middle of the right side, just below the volume rocker. Sony has given the Xperia Ultra a charging dock port in the middle of the left side, which snaps into place in the magnetic dock accessory. As a result of the protective flaps and clever design, the Xperia Z Ultra flaunts IP58 certification, meaning it's water resistant for more than 30 minutes and can go to greater depths. The Sony Xperia Z Ultra runs Android 4.22 coated with the latest version of Xperia UI. It's generally close to a stock Android experience, as Sony hasn't redesigned a whole lot of the operating system. Furthermore, Sony has already started working on Android 4.3 Jelly Bean, so that update should be out soon. Unlocking the screen gets you to an updated lock screen, which now features lock screen widgets, a new feature brought by Android 4.22. Past it, there's the usual home screen configuration, but due to the larger display, Sony has fitted extra icons on a row, bringing their number to 6. The app launcher grid is now 5x6. The app launcher itself has been updated with a flyout menu, which is brought with a swipe from the left. It holds shortcuts for uninstalling apps, the Play Store, as well as different sorting methods for the installed apps. The home screen panes are 5 by default, but you can add, edit, or remove new ones quite easily. The maximum panes you can now have is 7. Switching the system theme only takes a few taps. In addition to the UI changes, Sony has also brought its customized multimedia apps to the Xperia Z, like PlayStation Mobile. You may have noticed that the Xperia Z Ultra doesn't even glitch when launching apps and moving around the UI. That's thanks to the Snapdragon 800 chipset with 4 2.2 GHz Crate 400 CPU cores, Adreno 330 GPU, and 2 GB of RAM that live inside the beautiful glass body. Everything is buttery smooth and nothing ever glitches, even with multiple apps running in the background. The Album app, which replaced the default Google Gallery, is here, showing photos in full resolution and offering a nice design with lots of eye candy and cool effects. The Walkman audio player is on board as well and has received a few updates of its own. Sony has added lots of audio enhancement options to help you customize the sonic experience on the Xperia Z. However, you are no longer forced to use the Walkman player, as Google Music comes pre-installed as well. The video player has been replaced by Sony's proprietary Movies app, which downloads info online and matches it to your movies and video clips. This makes your library look even more awesome. only web browser you get with the Xperia Z Ultra is Google Chrome. It works like a charm and syncs seamlessly with its desktop sibling. Unfortunately, unlike the stock Android browser of old, Chrome doesn't support plugins, so Flash playback is out of the question here. Finally, there's the usual Office Suite 7, which allows you to view most of the popular document formats. Sadly, you have to pay extra for the full version to enable editing. The good news is there are plenty of alternatives in the Play Store, so you are free to go a different way if you prefer.